everybody, I'm Alia and we're going to play with a little bit of mobility exercises. So what we're going to do is test out a movement. For today we're going to do Supine Warrior 3. We'll do some mobility exercises and then we'll test out the movement again and see if it feels different from the first time that we did it. So we'll start by coming onto our backs. You'll go ahead and have your knees bent, feet flat on the ground. Lift your arms up towards the sky. And start to reach your arms back behind you without lifting your chest up towards the sky. So you're going to try to keep your mid-back on the ground. Lift your arms, and you can see my arms don't really fully touch the floor without me lifting up my back to do it. And then you're going to lift a leg up towards the sky. It doesn't matter which one because we're going to do both. And you're going to really press through your heel. So the aim is that your lifted leg is going to be totally straight. Even if it's low to the ground, that's fine. Just allow it to be straight. Extend the other leg long in front of you and you're going to really press through both heels. You can see my lifted leg isn't anywhere towards 90 degrees or towards the sky. That's totally fine. You're just going to keep it lifted to wherever it reaches. And then just take another breath in. And as you exhale, rebend that knee, rebend your other knee. You might rest your arms down for a moment. Just take a second. And then you'll set up for the other side. Lift your arms back up. Careful to really keep the mid-back onto the ground. You'll see again, my arms just don't touch the ground behind me. That's not a requirement. And then you're going to lift your other leg up towards the ceiling, whichever one you didn't do, and the opposite leg will extend long in front of you. Let the lifted leg be straight, even if it's not very high. And then you'll take a couple breaths here, just feeling the pose. And then rebend the knee, rebend both knees, hands come down. I'm going to place my hands on my body so you can see my pelvis move, but you can place your hands on the ground. We're going to do a little bit of pelvic tilting. So to start off, just feel how there might be a little bit of space between your low back and the floor. There might be a lot of space between your low back and the floor. That depends on your body, but just feel that space. And then when you're ready, flatten your low back to the floor completely. You'll feel a shift in your pelvis. You'll feel your tailbone start to move up towards the backs of your knees. And now reverse it. Find the arch in your spine again, and you might exaggerate that arch in your low back just to really feel how this movement works. And then you'll do it again. You'll flatten your low back towards the floor, feeling the tailbone move up, and you'll arch the low back away from the floor, feeling your tailbone move down. One more time, flatten the back, and then arch the low back. And now you're going to come into a bit more of a flattened position. So we call this a posterior tilt of our pelvis. You're going to try your best to maintain this position in your low back and to really not move your pelvis at all. And you're going to lift one of your knees up towards the sky so that your leg looks like it's in a 90-90 position. And you're going to do that without having moved the pelvis. And then you'll do the same thing as you place it back down. Can you place it back down without really shifting much in your low back and your pelvis? And then you'll do the same thing on the other side. You'll lift the knee so that it's about 90-90, knee over hip. And then you'll place it back down with control. We'll do that again. Lift your leg up. You're going to keep the leg lifted and then go ahead and lift the other leg up. And so here you are, 90-90 in both your knees. And then place one foot back down without much shift in the pelvis at all. Place the other foot back down. And then you'll do it again. Lift up a knee. Lift up the other knee. Nice and controlled, nothing changes. Release one foot down and release the other foot down. Really nice. Go ahead and come on to hands and knees. I'm going to place a blanket underneath my knees for a bit of padding. You can do the same or use a mat. And you're in a position that we call tabletop. So your knees are about hips width distance apart and they're set underneath your hips. And your hands are about shoulders width distance apart. The wrists are a little bit They're right underneath your shoulders or maybe even a little bit forward. And so you're coming into, you have a new neutral spine, just holding yourself up in this position. You can have your toes tucked or not. And then just in your mind's eye, find your belly button. Just sort of feel where it is. And then you're going to drop your belly button towards the floor. And as you do that, lift your gaze up and lift your tailbone up towards the sky. And then you're going to do the very opposite. You're going to lift your belly button up towards the sky and then drop your tailbone and your gaze down towards the floor. And you'll do that a couple of more times. Dropping the belly button, lifting the chest, lifting the tail. We call this cow pose. And then you'll lift the belly button up towards the sky, draw the gaze down, the tailbone down. We call this cat pose. And you'll do it a couple of more times. Taking your time, noticing how your pelvis tilts in a similar fashion as what we did on the floor, but now we're moving the whole spine. And then just do it one more time, coming into cow pose. And then coming into cat pose. Okay. Come to a neutral spine, and you're going to grab a block. So I probably should have mentioned that it's useful to have a couple of blocks. You don't have to have a block, but it will be useful for this video. But you can still definitely try it without the blocks. You're going to take a block in between your inner and upper thighs. You're going to hold it in place. That's one block. Your next block, you're going to place on the middle of your back. I like it kind of placed the long way, right in the middle of my back, so that the top of the block reaches my shoulder blades. And you'll come back into this tabletop position. You're going to squeeze the block in between your thighs as a reminder to not move your pelvis at all. And then I'd like you to push the block that's on your back. Just push your back into the block without moving your pelvis. And then pull your mid-back away from the block, again without really moving the pelvis and also without bending the elbows. And then you'll do it again. Push your back into the block, and then pull your mid-back away from the block. And we'll do that 2 more times. Push into it, and then pull away from it. Last time, push into the block, and pull away from the block. Really nice. Okay, go ahead and take the block out from between your inner thighs, but keep the block on your mid-back. You can stay as you are in your tabletop position, but really firm your palms down and press into the ground with your whole palm and with all of your fingers so that you can start to feel your arms beginning to engage. And then you're slowly going to draw your tailbone all the way towards your heels as you really push the ground away from you, gripping with your fingertips, trying your best not to rock the block around a whole lot. And then you'll come back forward, coming back to that hands and knees position, maintaining steadiness in the block that's on your back. And then you'll do that again. You'll draw back with your hips. It's like you're moving towards a child's pose, but we're not going all the way into child's pose. Reaching with the arms, and then coming all the way back slowly into your tabletop position. And we'll do that 1 more time, drawing back with the hips, keeping that block steady on the back. Noticing if your back is starting to pull away from the block, and then coming all the way back up. Right, you're going to still keep that block right where it is. You're going to take your other block and place it on your low back the wide way. So you might have to adjust a little bit so that both blocks fit on your back. So there's a lot of proppage here. Okay. You're going to just go ahead and extend your right leg back without moving that low block, and tuck the toes. So we're moving it as little as possible. Extend that leg. Without moving the block on the middle of your back, lift your left arm up by your ear. And now again, without moving either of the blocks too much, without a lot of rocking, lift your right leg up off the ground. And you'll notice my right leg isn't very high. I want to keep from coming into a strong dip in my low back. And that block on my low back is a reminder of that. When you're ready, release the foot back down, release the hand back down, and bring your right knee to meet your left knee. And we'll do all that on the other side. Keeping as much stability in the blocks on your back as you can. Extend that left leg back and tuck the toes. Without moving that top block on your mid back, reach the right arm up. Maybe by your ear, maybe it doesn't quite reach your ear. If I lift my arm up any higher, I'm going to move the block, so I'm not going to lift my arm higher. When you're ready, lift your toes up off the ground as high as you can without really creating a huge shift in the block. You'll see my leg hasn't lifted that high. That's okay. Release the foot down, release the hand down, replace your left knee down. We'll do that one more time, but this time we'll move the hand and the leg at the same time. So at the same time, go ahead and extend the left arm forward, the right leg back, and the right toes can immediately come off the ground. Pause for a moment, get really strong and stable in this position. And then release the hand down and release the knee down. And we'll go ahead and do it on the other side. When you're ready, extend the right arm forward, the left leg back. Really minimal change in the position of the blocks on your back. And then when you're ready, release the hand down, release the knee down. Go ahead and take the blocks away. And then you'll find a child's pose. You can find a full child's pose. Arms will reach forward, but let the arms be relaxed. Drop your head. And just take a couple of breaths here. Okay, and then when you're ready, we're going to come back onto our backs and we're going to retest that supine warrior 3. And we'll just see if there's any changes. So come onto your back. You'll start with your feet on the ground. And then we'll go ahead and lift your arms up towards the sky. And take your arms up by your ears without moving your mid-back. So you're going to feel your mid-back pressing into the ground. Keep it there as you take your arms up by your ears. And you'll notice, these props out of the way, you'll notice I already have more flexion in my arms. My hands are touching the ground where before they didn't. When you're ready, you'll lift a leg up towards the sky and you'll lift the opposite leg long in front of you. And I definitely feel that my left leg here has lifted up higher and I have more control over my pelvis. And then you'll set the foot down, rebend both knees and just release your arms down and pause. And then we'll do the same thing on the other side. You'll lift your arms up, maintaining your mid-back, pressing into the ground. And then you'll lift your opposite leg up towards the sky, pressing through the heel, keeping the leg straight, and then extending the opposite leg long. And you'll take a couple of breaths, sort of feel this out. Feel the control you have over your legs, over the structure of your torso, the control of your ribs. And then release the feet down, release the arms down. And so that concludes our video. Hopefully you noticed a difference between the movement before the mobility exercises and the movement after the mobility exercises. And the real cool thing to notice there is that we didn't actually do any stretching and we didn't do any cardio warm-up. So there's definitely ways to deregulate or down-regulate the nervous system and sort of gain some motor control over our limbs and how they work together in coordination with our torso as we're playing with some of these movements to see really quick improvements. Let me know your thoughts. Feel free to email me or just respond to this video. All right, thanks.